Heidi-ho, this is Tony with the Jeep Talk Show, and just like you, I'm listening to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast with Nikki G.
Episode 31. It's electrifying. All right, sit back, relax, shut the heck up. The 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast is about to begin. Hello, welcome to the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast. I'm your host, Nikki G. I'm here to inform, entertain, and delight you about all things off-road for the next 10 minutes or so. Why 10 minutes? Why not? It's like I'm not even trying anymore. All right, so welcome to the show. I recently read on the interwebs, and everything you read on the internet is true, because I can't put it on the internet if it's not true. Jeep is in the development of an electric four-wheel drive Wrangler, and kind of wonder how that's going to work out, being that, Jeep's an off-road type vehicle, and electric cars are usually for like city dwelling, people that don't go too far. So I started researching into electric cars a little bit, and I stumbled across a podcast where they talked about the environment mostly, but they touched a little bit on electric cars, and I can't for the life of me remember what the name of the show was. But I had a bunch of interesting facts, and I started researching a little bit, and this is what I came up with. I just wanted to talk to everybody about it. Because, face it or not, electric cars are in our future. It's going to be a long time before we're 100% electric cars, but they're coming. They're getting more and more common, and they're, as technology improves, the electric car is just going to get more popular. So I started doing some research, and of course, I found all this information on the internet, so it's 100% accurate. But the first electric car was developed in 1881. Yeah, I know. That's way before I even thought the first car was developed, by Gustave Trouve, or whatever. It's some French weirdo. And in 1988, that's 7 years later, a German named Andres Flocken, that's a name I want to live with, developed an electric car, and it was very popular. Now, I'm kind of thinking back in these days, I don't think battery technology was there, so I imagine there were like cable cars maybe. I don't know. I couldn't find any pictures of anything. Then in 1899, the land speed record was held by an electric vehicle at a whopping 65 miles per hour, which is still about 15 miles an hour faster than my Cherokee can go. Safely, I add you. Recently, with the improvements or the emergence of semiconductor technology, transistor and microcontroller technology, along with the lithium-ion battery, made electric cars at highway speeds possible. And the thermodynamic limit efficiency is the way they measure how efficient a vehicle is or something in motion is. And it's interesting that gas vehicles use 15% of their fuel for motion. Diesel engines use about 20% of their fuel for motion. And electric cars get a whopping 70% of their energy is used for motion. Now, if you have a car, this is what I can't understand about this theory, or I guess it's not a theory, I don't know what you call parameter. If you're only using 15% of your fuel for motion, what's the other 85% being used for? I don't know. It's a conundrum. Another interesting fact, California, by the year 2035, has banned all internal combustion engine sales. So by 2035, California is going to be all electric, which I know California is known for rolling blackouts. And what a rolling blackout is, I didn't know this till I heard this recently too. Energy demand is so high in California and other states as well that they don't have enough electricity to go around for everybody, and it's in danger of damaging the infrastructure. So they shut the power off temporarily by neighborhood, and hence the rolling blackout to stop the energy use, to help match the energy use to the amount of energy they have available. So California has a demand higher for electricity than they could actually produce electricity. And now they're going to take their millions and millions of people commuting and have them all plug their cars in at night. I don't see how it's going to work unless they start doing some more nuclear reactors, which all the nutballs want to ban those as well. Another interesting fact about electric cars is the heating and cooling on them takes away from your power. On a gas engine, you just have it you have your air conditioner driven by a pulley, and your heat actually used by the coolant to heat your vehicle. Everybody's had a heater hose break at one time or another, or plugged up heater core. But on an electric car, you don't have that. Your heating and cooling is taking away from your power, taking away from your fuel tank, so to say, your battery life. But an interesting thing about electric cars, and this has really got me turned on about it, when you plug your car in at night, while it's charging the battery, you could actually have it heat or cool your car. So you wake up in the morning to a nice warm car or cool car. And electric cars use a type of a heat pump for heating and cooling. Once again, that's got to be a big drain on the battery, although I imagine it's not as big as heat pump that you have on your house. The range on an electric car is the big limiting factor. And I can't find a lot of, I would say, reliable information on it. You can go on the Tesla website and look up what their cars have, and I really don't believe any sales pitch type ad for information. But as of 2019, the longest range of an electric car was 259 miles. Another good thing of electric cars is less moving parts, so less maintenance. The bad news is the batteries are expensive, and they only last around 124,000 miles, which is about a third of the lifespan of a Jeep 4.0 straight six engine. Those things run forever. But you got to put oil in it. This thing you just plug, I guess it all equals out. So the big drawback to electric vehicles are the cost. They cost more to buy up front. I imagine the maintenance might be a little cheaper, but man, they cost a lot. The Jeep Wrangler is about $51,000. And that's, comfortably equipped, I think. I haven't bought a new Wrangler in a long time. I've never bought a new Wrangler ever. They call it BEV. I don't know what the B stands for, but it's looking at a price range of around $74,000. Now, I want to save the environment. I don't want a $20,000 save the environment. I'd rather keep that much money. So I looked up a list of some electric vehicles, and electric UTVs have been out and used quite a bit now. Hunters like them because they're silent and less maintenance. And again, the drawback is the cost and the range. But a Polaris makes their Ranger EV at about $11,000. Arctic Cat makes a Prowler EV at about $13,000. And Nikola makes an NZ2 at $80,000. Now, why would you have an $80,000 vehicle that you can't drive on the road? Because most UTVs, and when I say UTVs, they're like side-by-sides, are not street legal. Okay, Hyson makes an E1 that's $10,900. All right, and of course, Club Car, the golf cart manufacturer, makes an electric 550 at $10K. Now, I got to say, Club Car has been making electric vehicles forever and a day. Everybody's seen electric golf carts. But now the big vehicles that you and I would drive and commute to work, Jeep is making their BEV at $74,000. Tesla's Cybertruck, which claims that they're more off-road capable than a Jeep Wrangler. I doubt that. I would love to see that. Please get these things on the market and let's have a side-by-side comparison. And I look very forward to pulling a Cybertruck out of the mud with my $400 Cherokee. But the Cybertruck is clocking in at $40,000, which I could dig that. That's still kind of expensive for a vehicle, but yeah, it's electric. GMC is working on a Hummer EV, and it's going to cost anywhere from $80,000 to $100,000, which is probably the cost of a regular gas-powered Hummer. Ford's working on an electric version of their F-150, clocking in at $40K. Now comes some of the weird manufacturers I've never heard of. I imagine they're overseas, but Riven makes an R1T that clocks in at $75,000. Lordstown, which is that a car manufacturer, or I don't know what that is. Never heard of it. But it makes their Endurance costs $52,000. Bollinger is making their B2 at $125,000. That is expensive. And then again, Nikola, I don't know how you pronounce it, Nikola. I guess it's a takeoff of Nikolai Tesla or Nikola, whatever. But anyhow, Nikola gets an award for the coolest name. Their Badger coming out, supposed to be electric, but Nikola, whatever you want to call it, was bought out by GM, and GM nixed the electric Badger. Instead, they're developing hydrogen cells. Yeah, so you can go cruising down the highway, sitting on top of a giant H-bomb. What can go wrong there? And it's funded by GM. And they're known to have some outlandish ideas. So that's all the information I have on electric cars. I know it's scattered all over the place. Take it as you will. My thought about it, electric cars are coming. Get used to it. You don't have to buy one, but you're going to see them on the road. I personally, I wouldn't mind having an electric car just to hop back and forth to town and stuff. It's a 9-mile commute to my job, and I think an electric car would be perfect for that. I can just drive to work probably a couple of times on a charge. But off-roading, I'm sorry, you are not going to beat an internal combustion engine. You have the range on it. It's as much fuel as you can go as far as much fuel as you can carry. I won't say reliable, but they're independent. You don't need as much support for an electric vehicle. Plus the range. I just drove 200 miles. Well, not quite 200 miles. I think it was like 140 miles up to the mountains, wheeled all day, and then drove 140 miles back. So I probably put on about, 140 and 140 is 280. So I probably put on about 350, 400 miles in a day. Left here at 8 a.m., got home at about 9 p.m. An electric car, that couldn't be done. Not to mention I'd have to drive up to go wheeling, charge the car up, go wheeling, charge the car up, and then come home. And that's just not feasible. I don't think there'll ever be a replacement for the internal combustion engine. Not as long as I'm alive. But what are you guys' thoughts? Electric vehicles, yay or nay? They're coming. There's no way out of it. All right, so I've rambled on long enough. Thanks for tuning in and listening. You can catch the 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast on Podbean, Anchor, Google Play, and Apple Podcast. And then I almost forgot, we're on Spotify now. The 10-Minute Off-Road Podcast is not on iHeartRadio or Pandora. Those bastards do not recognize this as a viable podcast. I will get you yet, my pretties. All right, boys and girls, until next time, this is Nikki G saying, will what you got and be happy.